In this second tutorial, we'll look at creating the top part of the tablet holder, the tablet stand, and it's the part that the tablet will actually hold on to. And then in the final third tutorial, we'll look at assembling everything together and fitting it all to make it adjustable as well. So we're going to start off by creating a work plane, and the reason we're doing this is because the three existing work planes aren't where we want this final part. We want this final part sitting above the stand here, lying horizontally, with the two bends coming over either side of there. So we're going to click the plane button here. We're going to click on the top work plane so that it says entities top plane, that it knows where we're offsetting it from then, and we can drag that up above here. If I look at it from the right hand side, I'll be able to better judge where that is. I want it roughly in line with the top there, so I'm going to try a few dimensions first. 180, maybe around about right. Still a little bit too high, so let's take that down to 170, which is touching. We want a tiny little gap, so let's just go for 175. And I can click the green tick to finish. So I've now got a work plane, so it's no real object or anything, it's just somewhere I can start the first sketch. Click on plane 1, I'm going to start a sketch, and I'm going to draw my rectangle somewhere over the top there, and I'm not too worried about the position of the size because I can start to edit that now. So the width of this is going to be the wooden stand plus 3mm either side. So the wooden stand is 35mm, so 3mm each side gives us 41, and the length of this can be 120mm. Okay, now if I look at it from the top, I'll be able to position it a little bit easier. So I want to measure the distance from this side to this side of the stand, and I want that to be -3mm. So it's just shifting over here, and you can see it's just lining up there, so it's even either side. And then the back of this can line up with the same on the bottom part, the bottom attachment part, so make that 0 and line that up. And what I'll do then is click the green tick so that that sketch is finished. Okay, so the sketch is finished there. We can see the part that we're going to extrude now is fairly straightforward. So let's extrude this to start with. Click on a rectangle. It's going to be acrylic, which is 3mm thick that we're using. And instead of going up, which is going to make the gap look even bigger, we're going to flip it, so we're extruding it downwards, and the gap is just becoming that tiny little bit smaller from the stand itself, and the green tick there. So we've got that new part done. We're now going to create the two parts that bend down and come over these holes and allow it to attach. So we're going to create the sketch on the bottom part here, click sketch, and then I'm going to draw the rectangle. Using that orange attach button there, dragging it down and just finishing. Not worried about the sizes to start with. Let's add that dimension in. It's 3mm thick acrylic, so we can put 3 in there, press enter. Then the distance here, we can make that 20mm. We can always adjust it. We'll look at it from the left, we'll be able to better see if that's right. So 20 is lining up with this edge and overlapping there, so we're going to make that an extra 5, I reckon. So if we double click on there, 25, and press enter, we can always edit. There's the beauty of doing it in CAD, you can keep editing until you're happy. I'm going to click tick, I'm going to extrude the rectangle I've just drawn coming down. Again, looking at it from the left, I can try and judge to see how far I want it to go down and where it looks right. 25 looks quite nice, so it's a nice overlapping square that I can just click tick on. Now I've got that now attached from that top part coming over the top of that. We just need the hole and to round the two edges there as well. So I'm going to use the fillet button, zoom in on the edge that I want to round, rotate it this edge too, and we can make that 12.5. Previewing it there to check it looks right, and click tick. On this surface we'll create the hole, so I'm going to sketch, I'm going to draw a circle, looking at it from the left so I can see what's going on. Zoom in. And in here, we know there's a hole in the background that we can't see at the moment. So changing the view, on the right hand side by that cube that you can navigate with, there's another button here. You can change the view using this button. So we're going to show hidden edges visible, and we can see the circle in the background. So now I'm attaching, that attach tool is not quite in the center of the circle I want, so I need to make sure that I miss that. I'm going to draw a circle slightly above it, and I'm going to start to dimension it. So the diameter of the circle, I'm going to make it 7. We can always change it, remember. We're going to make it 12.5 from this edge. And then we're going to make it 12.5 from the bottom too. And you can see it's not quite lining up there, so I'm going to try a different measurement. I'm going to try that at 13, and that lines up quite nicely. The hole is very slightly too small, so we're going to make the diameter 7.5, which is, I believe, what we used in the last tutorial as well. So that's all done. I can make sure I click the green tick. Change the view back so that it is shaded. Rotate, extrude, click the circle I've just done, and I want to change at the top here to remove, and you can see it's removing that off the part we've just done, and you can see straight through, so it's lining up quite well. We need to repeat that now on the other side. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. The way we're actually going to do it is going back into the sketch that we've just done. We're going to add it onto the other side straight away, and so when we extrude, we'll extrude both together, and when we put the hole in, it will be going through both as well. So it won't duplicate quite as much work as what you may expect. So the sketch where we did this was in sketch 11, so I'm going to right click on sketch 11 and edit, and that same rectangle I've drawn on this side, which is 3 by 25, I'm going to draw another on the other side as well. So I'm going to draw that in, grab the dimension tool, put in 3, and I'm going to put in 25 as well. Press tick. Now on the extrude, you need to work your way through this history line on the side here. Right click edit. We want to extrude this rectangle as well. You can see that when you create it, it is creating them as separate parts, and we can try and address that a little bit later on. But really, it's not too much of a concern at this stage. So we've got all of these separate parts. The rounds haven't happened yet, so we need to right click on a fillet and edit. We want to add these to that same fillet, so it'll do them the same size. And then right click on the hole that we've done. And I'm just going to change that from being blind to through all, and click tick. Okay, they are separate parts, so it would help if when I'm doing that, we edit that, and in the merge scope here, we're going to also add part 6, and still going through all, so I'm hoping now that that will show it going through both parts. Okay, so we've got the first elements of our tablet stand working. All we need to do now is add a lip on the front. So I know the design that we laser cut has a curve coming out here, and this side we can add those on as well if you like to, but we'll just add the lip on for now. So I'm going to click on the top here, we're going to click sketch, draw a rectangle on this side, snapping to the points that you want to, which will make it so that the only dimension I need to add on is here, which is 3 millimeters. Click tick, extrude the rectangle, and we're just going to take that for 10 mil, and click tick. The only part now to make this look a little bit more realistic is adding the fillets in, so that it does look like you've bent the plastic and it's not separate parts that have been stuck together. So if I fillet here, I might want to fillet that one as a radius of 1. I know the material is 3 thick, so on the other side we're going to add a radius of 4, and click tick, and that just means that if you zoom into that now, it looks like an even curve because you've taken the thickness of the material into account as well, which is really important when you're doing this. Okay, so we can see that it's looking that little bit more realistic. The last thing is we want to make those parts at the top all the same. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. The way that we're going to go about it is going back again and making sure that when we extrude these parts, they are adding to this part here. Okay, so you can see they're all created as part 4, 5 and 6 at the moment, and we want them to be creating as part 4. So we'll go and find them back on here, which is Extrude 11. So on Extrude 11, edit, and we're going to make sure they're adding. It'll ask you for the merge scope. So merge scope is with part 4 because that's the bits you want to add them to, and we can click tick. So we're going to just check them over that they're right. We can see that the hole has now disappeared. So we need to go into Extrude 12, which is the hole. And this is where it's saying, look, part of Extrude 11 and 11, it's getting confused. So in terms of merge scope, what we do now is click part 4 and tick again. And you can see the hole is back to where we want it, and it's created the part in the way that we want it all as one. So it's all the same thing. What we can do now is use these fillets 4 and 5 for all of the plastic components. So we're going to use edit on fillet 4, and this is going to be the inside of any plastic part that's been bent. So the inside curve in there, flip it round, we've got the inside curve down here, and we can click tick, and then fillet 5, edit, is all of the outside curves. So we're going to curve that one, this one, the list there, and click tick. What we will do is add a small fillet onto these two edges, but we'll do it separately so that we can change it down to a different radius and just give it a radius of 2. So you can see now that the plastic parts do look more bent and less like they've been formed from parts that have been stuck together. Finally, we just want to make the base look a little bit more attractive, so we're going to add some curves onto it as well using a fillet tool and a chamfer down one side. So if we start with the curve first, we're going to go to the front edge, and it's going to be the full thickness of the material, which I believe is 15 millimeters, and click tick. And then we're going to chamfer the outside edges, which is the work you do with a block plane in lesson, and we can make that half the thickness of the material at 7.5, and click tick on there. And you can see it's making the stand look a little bit nicer. Okay. We'll finish that there. The last tutorial will be about assembling it so that it can be moved up and down as well.